Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved. So welcome new members to the Facilities Committee. First meeting here. Much of what's on the agenda here is kind of routine that we do every year at this time, and look at what the projects coming up are for the year. So we'll welcome Archie Jackson, our Facilities Manager, to go through these with us. Okay, first one, and we'll do a parking in the garage. No. This one is.
Good morning, folks. I'm Archie Wixon. I'm the Commissioner of Facilities for Onondaga County. Most of you know me, but for those of you who don't, it's a pleasure to be here. Hopefully meet you guys. So what we're asking for today is the release of binding authorization for items that have been in the CIP and that have been previously approved during the budget season last fall. The first one, item A, is a reconstruction of the Everson garage floor surface. So we've had this in the CIP for several years now, and admittedly we've kind of kicked the can down the road. We paused it during the 2 COVID years due to budget austerity. And last year, we were just a little bit too busy to reapply for it. This year, we think we can fit it in with our workload. As you know, those of you folks that do park down there, which is most of them, it's in need of a restoration. We've got some scaling, we've got some spalling, and we've got some potholes in the surface of the garage, floor in the underground Everson garage. We have a design that is complete for that. We had undergone a few years back, and we're hoping to begin this work before it reaches a deterioration that may require a redesign because there's additional work that needs to be done. The plan is to mill, restore some reinforcing, and then resurface this with another 2.5-inch layer of concrete.
Expect us to start?
We would target the better weather, and I also have to apparently find alternative parking to certain folks.
That was legit my question. Where are we gonna be? And how long will we be?
We expect this to be about a 3 to 4 month project. That's why we need to target it only during the good weather season. And, we'll work with either the convention center open lot or lot B and have to make a alternate arrangement with our parking manager, which is LAZ Parking.
Okay. Well, many of us have been asking, I think, periodically, when that's going to be taken care of. I did get a pretty good deal on my way out of the garage. So this is actually welcome news. I did have someone ask, will there be any handicap accessibility to the tunnel, like with this project?
It is not included in this number. It doesn't mean I can't modify something. The only handicap opportunity that we would have would be to go to the courthouse tunnel at the loading dock.
Okay.
And if that's an interest to you folks, I would consider it while we're as an alternate in the project.
Could you put a lift in at the loading dock there in the corner by the stairs that go up to the door to the tunnel? Those little lifts on it.
It may make more sense. We could do that. It may make more sense to transition the stairs into a ramp. So I'd have to make sure that I have enough distance to get the 1 on 20 for the ADA sloping requirement.
Right, that's what I mean. It's pretty steep. so you have to loosen it out quite a bit.
There's a chance I could do it.
I'll move it.
Okay, thank you, Dave. Is there a second?
You mentioned that this is kind of a patch with the infrastructure that we have. Do we have any lifespan of the rest of the garage, the pillars, the roof, the ceiling?
We don't have a designed useful life, but we're not observing or noticing any conditions that would lend it to require us to consider further repairs.
Okay.
The one thing we do have a problem with, that we attend to every year, is resurfacing the bottom of the reflecting pool above. Okay, so we do get some condensation and some minor leaking that comes from that above. We resurface it almost every year, similar to what the city schools do to their pools. But structurally, we believe it's pretty sound.
That's great. Anybody else? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Passes. Thank you. Next.
So, again, this is a project that is currently ongoing. It's been in our CIP for several years. We actually kicked it off last year, and we are currently spending the $1.4 million that had previously been authorized over the 2 years previous, and we're asking for additional funds of this courthouse here. So all the fin tube radiant heat that's on the perimeter, that's our first target. And, we have some leaks in it now. We can put some additional zone valving in that will make it more efficient, give a little bit more balanced comfort in this building. The building itself is not a terrible, inefficient building. You'd be surprised at the age of this, once it warms up, it stays warm. Once it cools down, it stays cool. In the nature of the construction of this building, we just have some deterioration in the infrastructure of it that needs to be replaced. And we're in the middle of the first floor and the fourth floor now. We just received the material for the first floor. The fourth floor is expected soon. The engineering is all done on it, and the contract's been awarded. Danforth Mechanical is doing the work. So we're asking for another $2 million for next year to just keep the momentum going. I guess that's it.
Is it done? Excellent.
My question, I guess, is more probably just a day one legislative question, more than a specific project. But like, how was Danforth chosen?
So Danforth Mechanical was chosen in this situation under an IPA called Gordian. And we were able to streamline the procurement process, but we still made them responsible for MWBE participation and all of our insurances and bonding requirements that are typical to any public works project of ours.
Just to add, the car, it's an off list where you can have the bid and make the available, so it's in compliance with the general law. That makes sense.
Okay, anything else?
What are the lead times on HVAC equipment?
It varies. It does vary. So we have, you'd be surprised at some of the cabinet covers on the induction units are a longer lead item than the zoning valves that are in the system. For another project that I have, on the electrical side, I have an 8 to 9 month lead time on some switchgear. So they'll have to pre-procure that prior, you take it away from the contractors and owner procure it. just in order to have it in time for the sequence of construction that we need to do. HVAC is one of the troublesome ones in the market right now. And there's not much of it that's on the shelf. And we've been strategic in our designs, that we've instigated the engineers to target equipment that is more available than, some more specialty equipment, keep it simple.
Sure.
And, we can get it short some lead times.
But
Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, County Museum.
Thank you.
So we did go over there, our committee did a meeting over there last session. And got a firsthand look at, what some of these issues over there are. And the museum is really anxiously waiting to have some improvements made over there, so they're very excited about it.
They, I'll get into the project, but they do a lot with very little. So it's, for those of you that haven't been over there, you should take a wander through there. It's pretty interesting. So about a year and a half ago, a condition assessment and a study was done by a firm, Crawford and Stearns. And the result of that report that was submitted to the Erie Canal Museum and board was that there was several that needs to be restored. It's buckling a little bit. The mortar, needs to be restored. The stones need to be reset. One of the retaining walls that is more of a brick and masonry than the stonework has the same deteriorated conditions in it. I remember this is 150 years old. These these elements, some of the support structure for the roof needs some supplemental supports, is what was uncovered. They don't meet our current codes or our or our snow loads. We've been lucky for this long, but they have noticed in a couple of them where there are some cracks in the rafter members. We can't tell how old they were or are, but they need some additional support. There is some old exhaust chimneys in the building, and the interior side of those, which is in the attic spaces, needs again some repointing or some restoration. There's a brick tender's garden out back that needs to be reset. They're reset by pavers, stonework, some of the other elements of the garden, and some HVAC rehabilitations that need to be done. We've done a lot of them over the years. Facilities has invested at your authorization through my various capital project, hundreds of thousands of dollars in HVAC restorations. This is the next round of it that's required, and the estimated total of the probable construction cost for these items is $1.3 million, and we're asking for that bonding to be released.
There's some pretty obvious, the outdoor, the walls, the garden and all of that'll, improve, obviously, the look of that building. But then there's also that they keep archives and things in their attic up there.
They
that
do,
are
yep.
in danger if the ceiling is not repaired. It could be putting some of that history that they store up there at risk. So excited about this. Any other questions about this project?
Are there any constraints on what we do over there with it being a historical building, historical site?
Certainly there are. So we will go through the formal SHPO approval with the construction, But we are repairing in like and in kind of what is the historical condition of that building. So we're not changing anything.
Sure.
In several buildings, this is one of them. You know, the STEAM School is another one. The War Memorial is another one. We all have to go through a SHPO process. This will be a real easy one because we're just restoring it to the original conditions.
Very good. Anything else? Is there a motion? Okay, thank you. Second? No, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on.
Okay, now to the last one. We are asking for funding for a replacement of the telescopic seating, the lower bowl seating in the War Memorial Arena. So that's our hockey arena. The last time these seats were replaced was in 2010. You know, they have a useful life of about that 12-year period, and we're beyond that. We're in the 14th year of it, and you know, because they were a demountable, retractable system that we had installed the last time, they have a lot of wear and tear because it doesn't stay a hockey arena. Any given weekend, any given weekday, they could do a transition, a turnover, which they do through the middle of a night or two, and it becomes a concert hall, or it becomes a comedian's stage, or you know, we do these things. The auto show's coming up. You know, we've just had Disney on Ice in there. There's a lot of activity that happens, and these seats get a lot of wear and tear on them. We intend to, because we have recognized that there's a couple of the previous configurations that we designed the telescopic seating for in 2010 that we no longer do anymore, like the International Horse Show and the motocross. So those are a couple of things that we don't do anymore that require the full retraction of those telescopic seating sections. So in this plan, we're intending to only have a few retractable sections and much of it to be a permanent, affixed seating sections with a little bit more comfortable seat. And we've gotten some probable construction cost estimates from different vendors in the market right now, and we believe that the cost will be this $5.2 million that we're asking for.
And the sound system is part
And
of
the
this
sound
one?
system is part of this. So if any of you have, and it's right at the top of the page, but I forgot to say that, if any of you have been there, the sound system is garbled. I mean, if you've been to the MBT Stadium in the last couple of years and you've seen what we've done with that sound system, from the old garbled, aged sound, you know, it's an unbelievable difference, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know, we have a professional hockey team in there, and we have, you know, we want to always recognize national acts and national functions in there, and this is what they expect.
Very good. Yes?
Have like a design phase happen? Like, can we see what it is gonna look like, or is that process not done?
We haven't selected the seating vendor, which would be the one that would be able to produce the seating style for you.
Okay.
But we could easily produce like a rendering. To the naked eye, it wouldn't look much more than it looks today when all of the seating is deployed.
Yes, sir.
Probably the main change would be some of the decking at the very front of the telescopic seating would be a more permanent decking, so it would be much more comfortable for those folks with mobility impairments to access these seating sections.
That would be my next question. Anything else? Chairman?
Do you have an estimate on how much that sound system is gonna cost?
So we have an estimate that the seats are going to be about $4.4 million and about just under $1 million for the sound system. 900 and something thousand is what we had added together. A little 4.3 something and 900 something, and that's how we came to the 5.2.
Is there a motion?
Move it.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Thank you, Archie.
Thank you very much for your time, folks.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to parks. Welcome, Brian Kelly.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, so this is various parks that we kind of take a look at every year at this time and see what projects are going to.
Well, Happy New Year, everyone. And for those of you I haven't met, my name is Brian Kelly. I am the Parks Commissioner. I look forward to getting to know you and working with you in the future. But it's nice to put some names with faces, so nice to meet y'all. The first project is our Parks Various Infrastructure Rehabilitation and Improvement Project. This is our yearly ask. This is our systematic approach really to doing preventative maintenance projects within our parks. It encompasses all the parks, and what we do is we go through each park year by year and address, low-hanging fruit projects, but also big infrastructure projects, mechanical things, stuff to keep our parks safe, clean, for the public to use. Our parks, our customer base is in direct contact with our infrastructure on a daily basis, whether they're using it or whether they're seeing it. So we like to keep that safe and enjoyable for all to use. As you can see, this year's projects are pretty cut and dry. We've got some septic tanks replacements, some lights, basically all infrastructure stuff that's either needs to be replaced or has failed, or something we need to do to enhance the public program. So we're looking for $1,935,000 to pick away at some of these projects in order to keep the parks clean, green, and safe, and for everybody to enjoy.
Right here. So our last meeting actually was out at Beaver Lake, and we were taking a look at the boardwalk, which will be.
Yeah, well, good news. Good news on that. The permitting process is complete finally.
Okay.
We believe we're going to be starting, construction here really soon. We finally got the permits back from the DC, and we're expecting construction this year for sure.
Good. Excellent.
Is that part of this or another part?
That was a part of, the
Previously-
boardwalk has been going for a couple years now. The permitting with the DC has actually taken well over a year for this project.
Yeah, that's great news because that's much needed out there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Another thing I'd like to add with this too is what's really nice about it is this is our emergency fund as well. So the flexibility in this project is massive for us. It's great to be able to, line up these projects, but if we have a roof cave in or the heat goes somewhere or, something like that happens, we have funds available in real time. And, lots of those circumstances, you're dealing with somebody's wedding or, 1,000 animals at the zoo or stuff like that. So it's really nice to have this in order for us to be able to pivot in case we have an emergency.
Yeah, a lot of this is just routine.
It's a great- yeah,
maintenance,
it's routine.
maintenance
Just routine.
projects for
Yeah,
routine.
I'll move it.
So, thank you, Dave.
Sure.
So, I have a couple. These are like minor, but
Okay,
they
sure.
matter to me. So for the veteran cemetery, 6 flags are present, 1 for each branch of military service and 1 U.S. flag. Is there a plan to add a Space Force flag?
There is a Space Force flag there now. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, is that-
It's not mentioned.
Yeah, that project, that wall project was, we completed that a couple years ago.
Yeah.
It was 2 years ago, and at that time, or a year and a half ago, we had a Space Force flag there. Yep. Well, it's funny you say that, because that was the big debate. It was a big debate after, and then we all decided, let's get a space, so yeah, they're all, it's a beautiful monument, yeah.
Oh, it's tremendous.
Yeah.
I would love to see it.
Yeah, stop by sometime.
Thank you. What else do we have? Oh, okay. On page 81, there's a in-progress PA system for the zoo. What's the status of it?
Complete.
Complete.
Yep.
Perfect. There we go. No problem. Okay, on page 82, it says Highland Park and various parks for the playground.
Mhm.
What are the various parks?
No, so what are the other parks? So this year, the project is for Highland Forest. We just replaced, we did some stuff at Oneida Shores previous to. We put a brand new, 2 years ago, we put a brand new playground out at Jamesville Beach,
Okay.
which is very heavily used. And we're also talking about if we can find room within the footprint, maybe to put some sort of play structure at the zoo to enhance that experience a little bit more as well. So that's kind of where we're going in the future. The Highland Forest Playground is gonna be a nice complement to the lodge up there. We do still probably over 100 weddings a year, lots of kids, lots of family reunions. And, we're always looking for stuff for kids to do while these events are going on, and this will pretty much handle that.
Thank you.
Sure.
Jamesville, we haven't gotten over
I was
Jamesville.
gonna say.
We should go, we should.
I know, started going over this list.
Yeah.
Where haven't we been?
Pencil it in for June.
There we go, and the beach is open.
Gotcha. Okay, sounds good. Anything else?
And of course, you're leading.
Sure, of course.
You're planning with the disabled students and kids, right?
Yeah, always. We are, at Beaver Lake, and it's a big item of ours. One of the things we're looking at in this year's budget for Beaver Lake Nature Center is a tracked wheelchair.
Yeah.
So folks that can't get out on those trails will have the opportunity to come in, have a tracked wheelchair so it can all terrain through the trails, and they'll be able to see something that they've never seen before. So we're hoping to have a couple of those at Beaver Lake free of charge, so somebody can come and get those folks around the trails. Yeah.
And that's one thing we discussed at the Oneida Shores meeting. So
Yep,
very
same
happy
thing
to
too.
hear that.
Yeah. We're certain, it's a big thing for us. It really is.
Great. Is there a motion?
I gave her already.
Oh, sorry. Second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Okay,
Okay.
this next one, we have been, the marina, we have been talking about for a little while, and gotten some information on previously. Interested to hear again, but just to let you know, we're not going to be voting on this today. This is kind of informational for, especially, since it's new to you folks, so.
Okay, sure. So as Chairman Cody said, we're going to be talking about the Onondaga Lake Park Marina Expansion and Rehabilitation Project. The current Onondaga Lake Marina will be renovated and expanded, including wall replacement, addition of short-term dockage, expanded parking, additional utility enhancements, including lighting, water, and shore power. Also, we'll do some dragging to return the marina to its original depths. This project, as you folks are aware, but has been in the CIP since 2022, the wall portion of this project. That is the original wall of this marina that was built in 1932. Sections of it are heaving and buckling, and it really is the core base of the entire marina. Everything expands from that wall. This group last year okayed an engineering study to be done in 2023, which we did last year. And as we assumed, they came back and said the wall is failing and you don't have hardly any more time with it. So that's a 400-foot wall that we plan on replacing with sheet piling and caps that go over the top of the sheet piling. We just had a project at Oneida Shores where we replaced a small section of retaining wall, and we did that the same way. So that portion of the project right there alone is $6 million. So while we had the folks come out, now at some point, if this moves on, we're going to have to do a feasibility study and engineering. But what we did do is we worked with CNS Engineering on this, and they came in and gave us something very preliminary, showing how it could lay out in order for us to get a cost. But while we were doing this, we also realized we need a dredge. The original depth of that marina was 8 feet. We're at 6 feet now. If silt keeps coming in, we won't be able to move the big boats in there. So that's a big concern of ours. Also, we haven't replaced docks. We have not replaced docks in 18 years, I believe. So while we're there and we're getting these permits to replace a wall, to do some dredging, expand some parking, it makes sense to do the entire project at once. The issue with that wall right now is it's failing so bad. If it does for some reason collapse, we're going to be getting fined by the DEC every day until we get a fix on that. So, and as I think most of you are aware too, it's also in a certain sense, taking care of people's homes. We have folks that live in our marina over the summer. Some of the slip holders live in our marina over the summer. And a lot of them haven't seen any work done on this in a long time. So this is a step in that direction. It helps the infrastructure. We do currently accommodate 100 boats, and it's about $100,000 in revenue every year with the additional dockage. Now, when this says expansion, we're not really expanding any of the infrastructure or the footprint. We're adding more dockages. So in our original layout, the current configuration of our docks, it wasn't really done right in the beginning. They didn't maximize space. So right in our existing footprint, we'll be able to fit these 40 extra spaces. And the beautiful thing about this is we're not sure the exact number, maybe 25, maybe 30, maybe all 40 will be for transient use. And that's where we're kind of missing the mark, I believe, a little bit. Any kind of watercraft, whether it's a jet ski, a rowboat, a single motor rowboat, a kayak, no matter what it is, will now have the opportunity to tie off on our marina, fishing boats. And they're probably, at this point in time, we're still talking about their plan, but odds are it might be like a thing in Skaneateles or any of these other marinas where you tie off for free. And you can use the park, or you can go into the village and visit restaurants and shops. You can play pickleball. You can go for a walk. You can rent a kayak. And the beautiful thing about that is I see all sorts of fishing boats out on the water. Now those folks will have the opportunity to come in, dock, and use the park. So that's really the project. I just want to. It's a renovation project of something that's been existing since the 1930s and been in our CIP plan for a while. So I just want to make sure everybody's clear on that. And if we're ever going to expand or have the opportunity to do more, which I believe there's going to be a big market for this transient use because things are really going to pick up on that lake, if you ask me, now's the time to do it. We'd like to permit once and we'd like to go through construction once, all one big project. Two, as I mentioned earlier, because we have folks that are there, we'd only want to disrupt the footprint once. If you broke this project up and you had to kind of displace people 2 or 3 different times, and we're going to try and do this where we don't. We're going to try and, if this all goes well, we'll do the engineering and feasibility study and hopefully move to construction as the boats are only in the marina from April through October, and hopefully come up with a good plan. But this is really a great project, a big one for me, because not only does it address infrastructure, but it gives folks a whole nother way to get to the park and use the park that may not be doing that right now. And Onondaga Lake Park is a park for everybody. It's built to be accessible, and that's kind of the mission that we're going with here. So the total for that is $13.7 million. The wall is $6 million of it. Then you have the dredging, then you have the docks, then you have the parking, and that's where the cost from the project comes. Number was given to us, like I said, in a preliminary estimate from CMS Engineers.
So the parking, there's room to
Yep.
expand that.
Yep, right there. And we're only talking about like 25 spots. We have the sailboats that are always looking for places to tie off during the day too. So yeah.
So right now, there's no short-term
None.
dockage.
Well, when we can. So there's 100 slips in the marina. If for some reason somebody left early, or for some reason we had 1 or 2 extra, we'll open that up and say, hey, if you want to stay for the day, but it's not an established program. It's not that folks know that they
You
can
don't
do it.
know
And this
if
is,
they're gonna get it.
right. So this is a whole market that we're looking to capture.
And then, is there a waiting list for the spots that are there?
The current ones, there's usually about a 4, 5, 6 boat waiting list. But the thing is I think folks, with more slips, so out of these 40 new, if we had 10 they'd fill up quick. I think people just know that those that have it get return letters first and have first right of refusal, and that marina fills up with pretty much the same exact people year after year.
So it sounds like the dredging, that would be necessary regardless.
Regardless, we have to, we have to dredge, and the docks, those two, those are bubbling in some areas too. We bubble those docks over the winter, so we don't take them out of the water. We bubble the ice, we bubble the water around them so the stuff doesn't freeze. It would be massive if we had to try and take all those docks out every year and put them back in. So they're exposed to the elements in the weather.
So can you just talk about the fueling station?
Sure, right now that is on hold. We've discussed it, might be a phase 2 part of this project, but we're moving away from that. There's a permitting process that goes along with the project, and that might take some time, and so right now that part of the project is on hold.
So what will that do to the cost then? That would obviously what the.
Well, yeah, and we'll know that once we have the feasibility study and the engineering done. We'll readdress that portion of it then.
Okay, so that's a.
Yeah, we won't
Little
move
bit
on
of
this
question
because of
mark.
the permitting and all the stuff. We'll have to have a really sharp engineering study on this. Super fun site, you want to make sure it's all done right.
Brian, did you say that the feasibility study was going to examine expanding the footprint as well, or are we simply looking at?
Simply looking at putting the 40 extra spaces within the current footprint.
And you said there's potential for that down the road?
There's potential for
Expansion?
possibly down the road, or the fueling station.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any concern about toxic materials possibly being in that 2 feet of dredging?
Well, and that, yeah, so yes, with all of the projects around Onondaga Lake, there's definitely that concern. Super fun site. So the DEC permitting process is strenuous. Like we'll go through if we had permits for this project in a year, I would be surprised. Some of these, we were just talking about the Beaver Lake project. It was a boardwalk on a trail that goes over a bog. It took us about a year and a half to get that permitting. So it is a strenuous procedure that they put us through, for sure. You bet.
Ben?
Oh.
I just add too, that it's outside of the capping area. It's not a remediation area, but it is all part of the lake superfund, so and there will be testing and permitting involved. We'll coordinate with the DC and Honeywell, but we've already made sure it's outside of the dredge capped area, or excuse me, the capped area, and it's not the area of the mold. It's probably the better area to work in.
Best worse. Yeah.
Other questions?
I think there's been less discussion about the supply chain recently, but it's still a concern, obviously. Do we have cost concerns as we make our way through the permitting process?
I don't believe so. It's a good question. We just are putting in, as you're aware, you guys approved last year, new docks at Oneida Shores. Those are gonna be, the pricing on those is hold true. And this is the same company we would go to in order to do this docking component as well. That was with design, that was about a 6 or 7 month turnaround time. Because they have to put a whole bunch of docks together, make sure they're secure and all that stuff,
Sure.
but yeah.
And I saw they're discussing bringing, I think, a catfish tournament to Onondaga?
Carp,
right?
yeah, we want that back. So the event promoters came to us, we were gonna have the Worlds this past year, but there was kind of a fallout between the local organizing committee and USA Angling. We had a great meeting with them last week, and I think we're on the docket to get it back in 2027.
I mean, we've seen the economic impact.
It's
of
amazing.
Everything we've done at Oneida Shores,
And
Onondaga Lake is another one with a lot of potential.
we have trophy carp in there. Like
monsters.
the event organizers want us so bad because they say we're one of the best natural carp lakes that they've seen.
Yeah.
There, in Europe, they are just stock factories. They just throw them in and they go in and fish them. Their wild carp is very appealing to them. Yeah. Sure.
You kind of went through it, but I just want to get a better breakdown because you were quick.
Sure.
So 6 million was the wall.
6 million is the retaining wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the rest, 7.7
Is
million.
dredging, docks, additional parking, and then updating power. So
Okay.
yeah,
So my question is that breakdown. Do we know that or?
yes, that we do know that, and that is part of the engineering study we got back. So what CNS did was able to get us this far with the number, and I can share that if you would like at some point. Absolutely, we can share that.
To
Yeah.
see, like, how
Yeah.
much-
I'll have Mark. We go. Yeah, absolutely. The itemized breakdown of how we got to this number. Sure, absolutely. We can get that to you for sure.
Thank you. Yeah.
So great project on the lake that we spent a lot of money on. Is there any look forward as far as this carrying cost and how is it going to break?
Well, maybe. Right now, the whole project is absorbed right in that Onondaga Lake Park budget. Current staff, we don't see much changing because the footprint isn't increasing. We still think we can staff it with a full-time person and 2 part-time folks. That's what we currently do now. We believe the maintenance program will be generally the same. But in terms of it eventually paying for itself, we could break it out and look at it that way, but we would certainly have to do something with the rates. Right now, we're very, very, very cheap, far less than other places. We charge $40 a foot, $35 a foot without utilities. There's a minimum without utilities. There's a minimum of $690 with utilities. There's a minimum of like $1,146. Some of these marinas are getting $50, $60 a foot. If we ever decided we wanted to raise revenue and think about that, it would certainly offset the bottom line. But right now, in terms of that extra revenue, I'm not sure. It depends how we, play it out. So
Maybe a little additional sales tax perhaps.
Yeah.
Get more transients in.
Sure.
Tax it out,
Yeah.
they'll pay for it.
Yeah, it's
and they spend money in town too. So
right.
yeah.
Very, very short walk into the
Yeah,
village from
yeah.
there. So, yes.
Guys, so to that point, I was gonna ask it.
Sure.
Ways and means, but do we have a possible rough estimate, or at least some sort of idea of what the economic impact might be for that strong?
I don't now, but it's a good question, Chris, and I can certainly think about it. I don't know because we've never really had anything like it before. With events and stuff like that, we can gauge that because we have registration ahead of time. We know how many people are coming. We know what hotels they're staying in. But it's certainly something we could think about.
And I know it's kind of hypothetical and it would be tough, but I know that with the added slips, what they might do, Visit Syracuse is good at kind of forecasting some of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously,
They're very good. Yeah.
you know that if there's a convention coming in, if there's agriculture here, tourism, they know that that's going to be used, the restaurants are going to be busy, and we're going to have X amount of hotels, which will generate rot.
Sure.
And you kind of have that, but I guess it's, I guess my question is, or I guess the question is, in the context of economic development, is there any way that we could even begin to think what a project like this might do?
We probably could come up with, Chris, that might be a better thing to do if this gets approved after year 1, because then we can track how many folks showed up in the transient spots. We can talk to some of the local businesses after and say, hey, how did that go? A lot of that economic impact stuff that this Visit Syracuse does is based on they have 35 people that are coming to the bass tournament. They know that 25 of them are staying in Hotel B for 3 nights. And then there's always a formula that the CVB uses, a predetermined formula that figures out economic impact. It takes in consideration gas, it takes in consideration hotels, that kind of number. So what might be a good question, and I'm happy to do beforehand, is call Mikkel at the CVB and ask them what kind of formulas they might use for something that doesn't require hotel stays. So, yeah, I can do that, sure. You got that right.
My question is, the disruption of construction, about how long are we expecting?
So if we're so the marina is occupied from April through October.
Okay.
The goal would be hopefully to get the feasibility study done and the engineering done through the summer, and then go to construction October through April. And with the winters we've been having, it's certainly doable. So that would be the goal, not to disrupt anybody at all.
Okay.
And even if there was a slight disruption, which I don't believe there will be, folks will be thrilled because it's an update that they haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, well needed over there. Yes.
Any impacts with the amphitheater across the lake?
Yes. So with the transient setup, that could be a couple hours, that could be a one night, and we might even go up probably just one night or two. We have to figure it out. But what that does is allow folks to take their boat, go to a concert over at the amphitheater, And if they do need to stay the night, they can tie up at our marina and stay a night. So we might see some increased visitation after concerts because folks just don't want to be out with the water in their boats after a show. I believe so, yes.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
This makes sense, interesting. Okay, so good discussion. This will go on to Ways and Means, so if you think of any other questions, you can get them to the Ways and Means members to pass those for you. And we'll be
Sure.
saying more of it.
And I'm around. If you guys have any questions about it, email me, call me. I'm happy to answer them for you. Yeah. Okay. Good. Yep, you bet. Thanks, guys. Nice seeing everyone. Nice to meet you.
Okay. That's our last
What do
order.
I need to about the breakdown? Who's just the two?
About the Mark can send you over the break if you want to. Yeah, he'll send you the itemization over. You can. Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you. It's just
So I got your email. I was able to print this one, but I couldn't